call this meeting of the Commission of Gulfport to order. Please rise and pledge the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Taylor, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Lyons.
Here.
Mr. Stanley.
Here.
Mr. White.
Here.
Commissioner Orthwein. Here. Mayor Morgan.
Here.
Let the record show that Town Attorney Tom Randolph is present, as is the Town Manager, Mr. Thrasher. And we also have the Acting Chief Allen and me.
Very good. We have some residents back in town as well. Welcome home. Okay, we've had an opportunity to review in our packet the minutes of the regular meeting. Can I go through all these for a motion, Skip, or do we have to do them individually?
You can adopt them all.
Adopt them all, very good. Regular meeting of September 9, 2016, the tentative budget public hearing of September 9, 2016, the special meeting, closed door of September 9, 2016, the special meeting closed door, I'm sorry, one was for O'Hare, one was for O'Boyle, September 9, 2016, and the final budget public hearing, September 20, 2016. Any comments, changes, additions, or corrections? If not, is there a motion to?
Scott?
She's got a question.
A question, sorry.
On Tuesday, September 20th meeting, I think there was a typo halfway down the page. Item 4, Town Manager Thrasher, that under $6,371,282, the number based on the taxable value of $1 billion. I think there's a typo. I don't know. The next has four numbers instead of 3. The 1 should be knocked out of the 0.
You mean the 1,102,616,589?
1020 should be
Oh, I see
3
what you're
digits
saying.
instead of 4.
Right. It's one, because it's 120, not 102.
I don't know if you knock out the 1 or the 0, but
Where's
first
it?
of the last.
I think it's 1020.
No, it's $1,020,616,589.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
before that
right.
was a
Before
1.
that?
So there's a 1 and a 0 that needs to be
1020.
removed. It's a typo.
Oh, yeah.
The typo.
Good catch. Yeah. I looked at it twice and I couldn't see it.
I still can't see it.
It's on page, it's on Tuesday, September 20th at 5:01.
Right, and it's about midway down the first page where it talks about the revenue being based on taxable value. So it should be $1,020,616,589.
I see it.
Any other catches like that?
No. Well, I mean, I don't know, not that I saw. Good catch.
Very good. Is there a motion to approve all of the minutes?
I'll move to approve them
As amended.
as amended.
As amended, thank
I'll second.
you. Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons.
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein.
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Rita, are there any changes or rearrangements of today's meeting?
Not today.
Okay. Our next meeting is in November. It says to be determined.
Yes, that,
The reason for that?
yes, it's Veterans Day. So we're not open. And I'm suggesting that we hold it the day before, which is a Thursday, which would be the 6th.
Okay. Anybody have a problem? Conflict? All right, then, if we're all in agreement, the next commission meeting will not be on a Friday, but rather on a Thursday. Is that the second Thursday of the month?
Yes, it is.
Which is November.
Well, no, it's
No, it's
actually
not
the
the-
first
It's the
Thursday.
first
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah,
First Thursday of the month.
yeah,
And that date again is November
6th.
6th. Thursday, November 6th.
Yeah. Would it be better to have it the second Thursday, or?
Well,
was
you're pretty
not-
close to the 6th. I mean, I was just wondering why you not have it the second Thursday.
I'm sorry. It's, I was on the wrong month. It's the 10th, because Veterans Day is the 11th. So it is the second Thursday in November.
So the second Thursday of November is November 10th, and that's when we'll have our next commission meeting. Okay, all agreed? Good. Okay, we'll move on to public comment. Anybody wish to speak? Yes. Patsy.
Do I have to introduce myself? I'm Patsy Randolph. I live at 3883 Gulfstream Road. I just returned from North a couple days ago and was amazed to see how great the town looked. I was expecting to see some real damage, you know, from Matthew, but there wasn't. We truly missed a bullet. But Mayor Morgan, Bill Thrasher, Rita Taylor, and our police didn't know that when they decided to stay in town and man the fort. We're extremely grateful to them for their courage, commitment, and sincere concern for our town. And I want to say thank you very much, and hope you all would agree to thank them as well.
Well, thank you. Really, it's staff and police, particularly our police officers who really do the yeoman's work here, and they do a great job to Acting Chief Allen. Thank you. And yes, Christine.
Good morning, Christine DeHaas at Florida Coalition. I stand before you today, I'll be very brief, in a request for reimbursement of partial legal fees that were incurred by former Vice Mayor Ganger over the summer. These fees were incurred because of his position as a commissioner, and he was deposed in a suit that was brought about by Martin O'Boyle against the town of Gulfstream. One of many, but unfortunately, as you know, Mr. Ganger suffered a stroke in April. So his doctor was very firm in his opinion that Mr. Ganger could not be deposed as part of this frivolous lawsuit. If he had been deposed, his legal representation and fees would have been covered by the town. Unfortunately, that was not the case. So I stand before you today. I'm sure that none of you, when you signed up so graciously to give your time and effort as a commissioner and a civil servant, would have ever anticipated the amount of some harassment that you have gotten over the past couple of years. Harassment, though, is one thing. It is another thing when you have to dip into your own pocket and legally defend yourself and pay for that defense. So I would request, I will give the invoice. It is for $2,355. It is less than a third of the overall monies that were paid to the attorney for representation for Mr. Ganger. And I will give the invoice to Rita, and I will respectfully request that this commission consider reimbursement, not only as a vote of confidence for Mr. Ganger in all the years that he served, but hopefully that you'll never be in the position also.
Thank you. I'd like to amend the agenda for items of commission action for the first item of business to be consideration of the town reimbursing Mr. Ganger for his legal fees in connection with the deposition that Mr. O'Boyle tried to take of him when he was ill, and he had to obtain private counsel at his own expense to prevent that outrageous attempt to miscarry justice, in my opinion. How much was it?
Rita has that.
$2,355.
All right. We're going to move that to item 9A. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Graziano.
Tony Graziano, 3259 Polo Drive. I'm not sure I understand the necessity of the reimbursement. Not that I object to it, but is it true that if a person serves as a commissioner and then after the time that they retire as a commissioner, they are involved in a lawsuit involving their time as a commissioner, that they don't get reimbursed by the town? That to me seems outrageous, and if there's some law, there's some ordinance we have to pass to take care of indemnification of a town commissioner, I think the town council should consider that.
Yeah, this was actually an instance where had he been healthy, he would have had counsel the town's council, but because of his illness, the town attorney perceived a reason for Mr. Ganger to obtain his own counsel to seek protective order from deposition. And so that's why Mr. Ganger incurred the expenses. It was a fairly unusual situation. Otherwise, he would have been
Yeah,
represented
it
by
sounds to
counsel.
me like there is a gap in the protection that we afford our town council members once they step down from the council. And if there's a way for us to repair that gap, I think we should try to do so.
Yes, it's actually a very good point. Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, I wasn't prepared to speak, but after Mr. Graziano's comments, I'd just like to add that I wish Mr. Ganger a speedy recovery. I hope he completely recovers and that he's going to be fine. Regarding whether you pay him or not, that's something we'll discuss when it comes up on the agenda if the commission's going to act on that. But what I've got a problem with is I've asked the town manager so many times questions about the sign ordinances that are only selectively enforced, the landscape ordinances that are selectively enforced, objects they aren't selectively enforced. I could never get an answer. So I would come to the commission during the public comments and you would tell me this is not a time for questions and answers. You can only ask questions that are on the agenda that the commission's going to act on. And I respect that. Then Mr. Graziano asked you a question, you answer it. I find that troubling.
It's an item that's going to be on the commission agenda, Mr. O'Hare. Anyone else? Okay, let's move on to reports. Mr. Brandon is not here, but by way of update on the undergrounding, phase 1 undergrounding will be complete with the streetlights along A1A. To do that, the actual undergrounding itself is finished, but the streetlights to go in from Pelican to Gulfview, the FP&L drawings are now complete. I think they were completed either at the end of last week or this week. A Department of Transportation permit is required. There is some delay with that because of the storm. However, we are estimating January for issuance of that permit and the beginning of work on putting those streetlights through phase 1. I might add, just as an observation, that at least down in the south end of the town, where with the slightest breeze we would lose power, we did not lose power on this storm, which had sustained 40-mile-an-hour winds and 60-mile-an-hour gusts. It's the first time ever where I've lived that occurred. And of course, that's occurring after we went underground. So I think it does lend some support to the reasoning that the town had in moving forward with the advantages of underground. That's it on the undergrounding report. Let's move on to, there's a request for hourly rate modification by Jones, Foster, Johnson, and Stubbs. Mr. Randolph,
Did you want to do town manager and finance director?
oh, sorry, I went down to the wrong one. Sorry about that. Town manager report.
With that,
Yeah,
I
we're
have
just-
no
we're just
report.
skipping right along.
Yes.
We're just right in line. ARPB meeting is going to be October 27th at 8:30 a.m. I will be taking up the issue with the ARPB and members shortly. Finance director report.
You have a financial report provided to you for September 30, 2016. Only comment I would make is that this report excludes, because of timing, any year-end accruals, which must be made. And so it will be somewhat materially changed, but still provide a very positive financial outlook by the time that the auditors complete their field work and give us a report. So this is typical. The September report does not have year-end accruals, so we're basically 1 month behind as it relates to expenses. But having said that, I would try to answer any questions you might have.
Bill, quickly, can you just, every year we do this, just state sort of the schedule when you close the books, and then by the time y'all kind of get through the numbers, which obviously are not done at the end of the fiscal year, it's usually tell us what, sometime around December, January,
Well,
December-ish.
Our work is usually completed by, I would say, the end of November. The scheduling of the auditors seems to hold us up. They should actually be here on a normal sequencing around December. The last couple of years, that has not happened because of certain GASB changes that required additional field work in other municipalities that we weren't affected by the GASB report. So I don't really expect a final number that we can hang our hat on until March. But I can say by November, we will have our work done, and it will be a more accurate number, one that I can live with. But auditors have a tendency to find a couple things that need to be adjusted. I don't think they'll be material, so. That's not a very good answer, but it is the answer that I have to
Well,
provide.
that's what, thanks, that's the answer we're looking for.
Any other questions on the financial report? Water usage report? Any comments by the town manager?
No
Any
comments?
questions by commission? Very good. Acting Police Chief Allen, please report.
Request report be accepted as submitted. I'd like to give you an update. The bulletproof vest that you have, for each purposes, all have arrived. The officers are wearing them. They're very appreciative of your thoughts in helping us out in that matter. And they are a big improvement of the old ones, much lighter and much more wearable.
Sure.
Thank you.
Questions? Good. Mr. Lyons?
I was very pleased to hear that.
Absolutely. Very good. We'll accept that as submitted. Moving on to items for commission action, we've advanced the consideration of reimbursement to former Commissioner Ganger of $2,355 for legal services to seek a protective order for his deposition by Mr. O'Boyle after he had suffered serious medical condition. Anyone want to discuss that? Anyone have an objection or in support?
I don't have an objection. I think it's very sad that he had to go out and find a personal attorney to defend himself. To be deposed by Mr. O'Hare and Mr. Boyle.
I might add, the bill was considerably higher than that as well. Mr. Ganger is contributing a portion as well, but that is what they're requesting from the town.
I'm confused by that comment. Why is he paying out of his own pocket?
The bill involved a lot of work. Ms. Hassett negotiated it down as best she could. As I understand, there is some payment being made by Mr. Ganger.
This is a less than a third of the overall bill.
Can I ask why aren't you suggesting we reimburse him fully? Am I missing something?
No,
Can we take just a look at the bill? Send it into the record.
What's the amount that you have successfully negotiated down, Christine?
the overall bill would be plus an additional $5,000. So it started, in the range of about $12,000, and it's now down to whatever the 7,000 something.
Does that additional $5,000 involve work, legal work and advice not related to the protective order and deposition?
No.
This was just for the protective order, the whole 12,000.
So this is Mr. Ganger's, again, selfless
Yes,
offer to pay 2/3 of this bill
correct,
and the town to reimburse 1/3.
correct.
Should we table it and review the whole bill? I mean, I don't know what the billing
I
cycle
would-
is on this.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think we should take the whole thing in consideration instead of just, it was very nice of him to offer this, but I would like to, I agree with Tom. I would like to look at the whole thing.
Well, may I approach?
Yes.
My only hesitancy with any of that is unfortunately, and I may be incorrect because I'm not an attorney, is that what I don't want to have happen, and I'll say it in plain English, is that there's an exposure for the town to then have to turn over all the legal proceedings back and forth, the line item, phone calls, and everything else like that, because at the end of the day, I don't think that that is necessarily anybody else's business. And my concern is if it is turned over to the town in that form and fashion, then once again, we will start this horrible, insidious cycle of public records request. And I think Mr. Ganger would just as soon be done with it and not have that exposure, not only for himself, but also for the town. So that is my only hesitancy in just kind of plain English without knowing if it's legally correct or not legally correct.
I would recommend that we table this for further evaluation.
Well, let's request a copy of the complete bill. We have the partial bill. If you could just provide that to Mr. Thrasher, and we can consider it.
I think that's not what you want though, correct? You don't want to provide a complete bill, you just are requesting this.
Well,
Am I listening to that?
Well,
the
she
way-
has
I think
legal
you are hearing
concern.
her correctly.
Yeah.
I think that if, it just should be deferred at this point.
Okay.
We have an opportunity for you
Right.
to further review
And
it.
we'll have research to see whether there is exposure to the
Okay.
public records
Okay.
concern that you have, which is a legitimate one, of course. So let us, I think you know where our sympathies lie. Let's defer this until next month.
Okay.
If you could get us the full bill, and we'll consider it then, and allow us to do some research. Thank you.
Okay.
What?
Please, sir.
You don't want to.
Just
Yeah.
defer until you had an opportunity to further review this.
Yeah, not to get the whole bill.
I'm not sure your deferral should be conditioned upon her giving you that, since she's indicated Mr. Ganger may not wish to do that. So let's just have an
Oh,
opportunity.
okay, fine. We'll just table it, we'll defer it till next month, we'll consider whatever information might be provided to us.
Do we need a motion?
Do you need a motion? I think we
Motion
need
to
a
defer,
motion.
yeah.
I'll move to defer, this till next month.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. Now let's move on to the ARPB. Since Mr. Lyons has joined us, there is a vacancy on the ARPB board. I understand, who is the first alternate? Mr. Roach?
Yes.
Yes.
Should we consider appointing, I move to appoint him as, to fill the vacancy for Mr. Lyons? But no one can fill your shoes.
You're very kind.
Oh, we're gonna give it a,
I think that's the first time I ever heard that.
but we'll try. We'll give Mr. Roach a
I will comment on Mr. Roach. He's, when asked to come down last minute, he does.
Yeah.
So he's been very responsive, and committed to serving, so I think that would be a wise choice.
Anyone else?
No, I move
Very
to,
good, then there's a motion. Is that a motion?
Yeah.
Very good, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne?
yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. That leaves a vacancy, I believe, on the alternate staff, so I would ask commission members to think about it, put the word out, let's see if we can get other people applying for that position. We'll take it up either at the next meeting or whenever appropriate. But give some thought to it, particularly you, Paul, since you're keyed into that board. All right, now again, moving off to hourly rate modification of Jones Foster.
Mayor, you have before you, my letter of September 15, 2016, to Mr. Thrasher, wherein I advise that the firm would request that the hourly rate of $235, which has been in effect since August 1st of 2008, be increased to $250 per hour from $235.
Okay, 8 years and, went up from 235 to 250.
Yes.
Any comments, questions?
The only question I would have is, I'm not familiar with market rates for where she might be. I assume this is in market.
What's your normal hourly rate, Mr.?
$250, it's been $250 for several years for other municipal funds.
What's your normal hourly rate?
Oh, $525.
Mhm.
Okay? I like that.
Somebody has, any other commission questions or comments? Public comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This letter says the firm is proposing to modify its hourly rate to $250. The firm's hourly rate has been $235, so I'm looking through all the billing statements from the firm for John Randolph, Joanne O'Connor, Kelly Gardner, Keith Rizzardi, Matthew Frias, Robert Wilkins, Thomas Baer, James Gavigan, a lot of town attorneys, Charlene Anderson, Karen Bold, Joshua Plager. And my question is, according to this letter, you're gonna pay everybody at the firm $250 an hour, or just Mr. Randolph, or just some people and not others? Could you be more clear on this before you agree to it? I'm sorry, I'm not quite done talking.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. O'Hare.
Thank you, sir. I'll try to extend the same courtesy. I just wondered, is it gonna be everybody at the firm, or is it selective? And if it is selective, why not spell it out in this agreement? Because I imagine this is an agreement you're gonna vote on. Thank you, sir.
I had anticipated that's what you were going to say, that's why I started to speak. No, as with other bills, if there is a paralegal that's hourly rate is less than this, they will be billed at that. And if there is an associate who has an hourly rate of less than $250, they will be billed at that rate, just the way it has been all along. There's very few attorneys in the firm, even associates, who have a standard hourly rate less than $250 an hour, but if there are, and we use them, it would be whatever their standard hourly rate is.
And that has been the agreement with Jones Foster for many, many, many years. Any other comments, questions? If not, is there a motion to approve this revised fee agreement with the law firm Jones Foster, Johnson and Stubbs?
I move to approve the revised fee for Jones and Foster.
Second?
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes?
Commissioner Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. All right, let's move on to Resolution 16-10.
This is a resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Florida, providing for the appropriations of budget expenditures in the general fund for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2017, and providing an effective date. Be it resolved by the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Florida, that the following reappropriations be made. There would be a decrease in the contract legal services out of the Department of Administration of $133,483. Then there would be an increase, all in the legal section, regular salary, $87,500, FICA and FICA med taxes, $6,695, retirement contributions, $18,305, life and health insurance, $15,984, postage, $500, printing, $500, office supplies, $500, communications, $500, and training, $3,000. Did I say 5,000? It's 500 for all of those: postage, printing, office supplies, and communications. The legal for training is 3,000. This is presented for adoption this 14th day of October, 2016.
Mr. Thrasher, would you explain to the commission why resolution 16-10 is being presented?
Yes, we have hired a staff attorney. You all are familiar with him, Trey Mazzaro. He worked as a paralegal for the firm of Jones and Foster and helped us with our public records development. And also, you may remember that on September 12th, 2014, the town had a resolution in appreciation of Trey and the work that he did. That resolution was signed by our mayor, for current sitting commissioners in essence. The purpose is to, one, create savings, and yet still be productive in the legal area, and two, to increase internal effectiveness as it relates to how we handle public records, and three, it is hopefully a move in which the proposed millage rate for 2017-2018 will be under 4 mils. So this is a decision that I made according to our bylaws and administrative code. The voted rate for Trey is $61.77, and if you compare that to our lowest general or outside counsel, if you use the figure 250, there's a savings per hour of $188.23. And if you add in consideration for special counsel, it could be upwards to $288.23 per hour. So there are a lot of things that he can do, for example, today he is at counter to call, standing and waiting and to yell out yes. So things like that, it just seemed a decision that had to be made quickly. He just finished up his law clerk assignment, 2-year assignment with the federal judge in Miami, and he was looking, and I believe that in my heart of hearts that this is a very good decision, and that he is a man with great integrity, intelligence, and he knows most of us here. I'm very thankful that he has decided to join our staff.
So this is a budget amendment, is that what?
This is a budget amendment. The offset is 0. The net effect to our overall budget is 0. It's just a shifting of dollars, and I wanted to do it immediately so as to prepare our template for the 2017-2018 budget to align with what is called GAAP, General Accounting, Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. And there's really no change in the overall bottom line of our 2016-2017 budget.
Yeah, the hiring of Mr. Mazzaro is going to be a great budget savings to us, and it's going to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the legal services that were provided. The savings is obvious. For example, he and I attended a mediation conference on 4 lawsuits yesterday that we would have had to pay counsel to go attend with Mr. O'Hare as part of his salary. All the work that went into that is covered obviously by salary. Today he is standing at the call of a list of trials. That is something we would have to pay Jones Foster to send someone to. It is now covered by our attorney. But more than that, he's an attorney who has worked with our staff. He is the one who authored essentially our public records policy. He's intimately familiar with it. And beyond that, beyond just the public records and the savings that we'll experience there with Mr. O'Hare and Mr. O'Boyle, he's going to provide additional legal services. You see what is coming up with the undergrounding involved legal work. Almost any activity we consider here has legal ramifications, and having an in-house attorney as opposed to consulting with our attorneys at Jones Foster or one of our special attorneys, is by definition a cost savings. So I think it's a great idea, and I'm heartily in favor of it. Questions, comments?
No, I agree. I thought it was a great idea. We probably should have done it years ago. And Trey is a wonderful man. I worked with him. He was a paralegal when I first met him.
Well, the timing was just right. He had just finished his
Yeah.
clerkship with a federal magistrate judge, was ready to take a position with other firms, and
I think
he
it's,
had an interest in working with us,
Yeah.
and I think it worked out quite well.
I think it's a great idea.
Any
Paul.
other comments? Public comment?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you pointed out, discussing the confidential mediation, yes, Mr. Nazar was there. I had the pleasure of meeting him. He seems like a very smart, intelligent young man. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. I understand from researching him on the web that next week he'll have been admitted to the bar for 2 whole years. I have a question though. He was hired this past month, a couple of weeks ago. And if the commission votes not to create this position, will you fire him? Or do you must create this position now because he's already hired?
This vote doesn't have anything to do with creating a position. This is a budget amendment that's required, and that's all this is, resolution. It's a budget amendment.
Oh, I appreciate that. I wouldn't have brought it up except the mayor brought it up, talking about Mr. Nazaro. What I'd like to point out though, because I think the town is entitled to hire people. As a matter of fact, I think the charter actually calls out that the commission shall hire people and decide their compensation, et cetera. If you read that, you'll see that. But what I'd like to point out is the state attorney's office hires new attorneys all the time, usually with a few more years than 2. They pay $50,000. The 15th district attorney's office starts lawyers out at $51,000. The assistant city attorney in Delray Beach, Janice Rustin, makes $70,000. She's got a couple of years more experience and a heck of a workload. So my question is, when you decided to create the position, wouldn't the smart thing to do would be to do a request for qualifications to invite and see who we could get that is the most qualified for the least amount of money, instead of just saying, well, Nazar's a nice kid, let's go bring him in. It just doesn't make financial sense to hire someone and then create a position where you pay him 30 to 50% more than the going rate. It looks like a backroom deal. I won't waste your time on anything else, except that $533 a day to answer public records, when you get someone with a degree in library science for perhaps $30,000 a year, it just seems like a waste of taxpayer money.
Well, that's rich coming from you, Mr. O'Hare, wasting the taxpayers' money.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear
I
you.
said that's rich from you, wasting the taxpayers' money. You're part of the problem that puts us in this situation. But let me say, that as far as market rates are concerned, the market rate for someone like Mr. Nazaro is in the neighborhood of that which we pay. Top firms pay top dollar. Top people, editors-in-chief of their law reviews, command higher amounts. Those with experience, knowledge, and information command more money. This is part of the reason that we did it. Just so you know, and just so the public knows. This was not a backroom deal.
Well, since we're off topic, let me just say that every time I've been faced with something that costs money, I've always tried to minimize the town's expense. I've gone for the cheapest mediators we could find, knowing that someday it's going to come back on the taxpayers. So while I have felt a need to find redress in the courts, I've always tried to minimize that expense, but it seems like it's Mr. Randolph and Mr. Cotter's and Mr. Sweetapple's strategy to outspend and outlitigate. It's not working. So if there's a lot of money being spent, which we're all going to find out about in the next few months, it's not entirely on me. Thank you.
Oh, very good. We look forward to the opportunity of discussing it in court, sir. Okay, any other comments on resolution 16-10?
May I make a comment?
Sure.
In the possible motion in support of this, could you ratify as well the decision that the town manager made in regards to hiring Mr.
Sure.
Is that-
It's a separate motion. Bill, can you just quickly, before we move on here with the motions for the record, can you just state again what the net difference is when you're, for the resolution? So the 133.43, which is the office, labor burden, benefits and so on and so forth, like, what, the number that's coming off in the existing proposed budget?
I believe I understand your question.
Yeah.
We will be reducing the current contract legal line item in our budget by $133,483. We will be creating a new department, a legal department, and we will be increasing that department, or filling that department with expenditure possibilities that is also in the amount of $133,483. So the net effect of expenditures down at the very bottom, creating a zero difference. Is that what
Yes.
you mean?
Thank you.
Other questions? We're going to discuss two motions. First, in advance at the request of the town manager, has asked for ratification of his decision to employ Mr. Nazaro and establish the new legal department. Comments, questions on that? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the creation of the position of the town attorney and the hiring of Mr. Nazaro.
Excuse me.
I think it's called the staff attorney.
Staff attorney, excuse me, amended motion, staff attorney.
Is there a second?
A second.
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. We've had read resolution number 16-10. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve resolution 16-10.
I'll second it.
Ms. Taylor?
Commissioner Lyons?
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. Okay. Let's move on to another item. As you can see, the photograph up on the screen is a dumpster at a construction site along A1A near Town Hall. Shortly before the storm was supposed to hit, Hurricane Matthew, I drove by the site and noticed that there was a lot of debris in the dumpster. There was also debris scattered around the job site. It had been cleaned up somewhat, most put in the dumpster, of course, but other debris scattered. And there were also many tiles, roof tiles, up on the roof of the building.
Unsecured?
Some were, most appeared to be strapped, some appeared not to be. I can't swear to that, but a fair amount of strapping had been done. My larger concern, however, was the debris in the dumpster, which was, you've got bricks, 2x4s, pieces of cinder block, palm fronds, any number of items that could be projectiles and damage property nearby in the event of a high wind, particularly a Cat 3 or 4. There's another photo as well. Rita, if you could just scroll that mouse.
Where is it?
You've got a job, Johnny, there as well. But this was taken the
That'd be
morning
fun.
immediately after the storm departed, early in the morning. So that's pretty much what it looked like. And it just caused me concern because in the event we have future storms, any type of hurricane storm, even high tropical winds, construction site protection needs to be addressed. And I would like the commission to consider modifying our construction site management handbook to give the town manager the reasonable discretion within 72 hours of a storm proposed for landing to order construction sites to be cleaned up, dumpsters removed, and any tiles on rooftops to be removed to protect the nearby homeowners.
Dumpsters to be entirely removed or just cleared out?
To remove.
Oh.
In a Cat 4, if that were empty, physics of it, but I would be concerned about it acting like the sale on a boat. I understand frankly that it's easier to just take the dumpster away.
Then empty it.
They would have to empty it and bring it back. And
Would there be discretion to the town manager in the event that just the availability of transportation was an issue, that they put some kind of acceptable coverage? Now, I agree with you, it'd be better to remove it, but in some cases, just may not be possible, I would think.
that's why the 72 hours, given the severity of the storm, you know, if it's a Cat 1, there may be other options. And I'm throwing it out there, not because I've spent a lot of research and time considering every angle of this, but it did appear to me to pose a significant danger to the nearby residences, and something should be done here, giving the town manager authority to protect those neighbors. The day we were battening the hatches here, which I believe was Thursday morning, there were construction workers still working on, a number of them were working on the job site, others were clearing up the job site. And it seems to me that the pecuniary interest of the developers is not our concern. Our concern is the safety of residents. And if it slows the job down, to close it down in the event, realistic event of a storm, so that all man-hours are put toward cleaning that job site, that we should do that.
I absolutely agree with that objective.
I absolutely agree with the roof tiles, but, you know, I don't know the logistics of the rest of it. I mean, I don't know to take that out or cover it up, or I don't know. But I think roof tiles are more dangerous than anything. They're like projectiles coming off the,
What I'm asking is not that we make any decisions today. What I would like to do is have us authorize the town manager and our staff attorney, Mr. Nazaro,
Okay.
to look into our current handbook and our current ordinance regarding authorities and fines, and to investigate what can be done reasonably on a job site. There are tarps available for these things in low-level storms. You get into the type of storm that Matthew presented, and a tarp would not have held, I can't believe. But it bears investigation. So I would like to get your consensus on authorizing staff to look into this and bring back to us their recommendations.
I agree with that.
Comment, question?
Sure.
All right, Mayor, I just want to be sure, in your remarks, I have two things I'd like to address. One, you referred to tropical winds and storms. If this is ultimately decided that to be further reviewed, are we, we're not talking tropical storms, are we? We're talking hurricane warning situations?
I
Or
was
are
like
you talking?
Hurricane Cat 3 or above, that's what I was thinking, Cat 2,
any-
Cat
I
1.
wouldn't limit it to that. I'm putting it within the reasonable discretion of the town manager, because so many of these storms have varying possibilities. For example, we had a Cat 4 barreling down on this town, and it ended up being maybe a tropical storm. So
You never know.
it's up to the manager to evaluate that information with the normal advice you would expect from the chief of police and mayor, but to make a reasonable decision to protect the town. I don't think it should be confined or
Okay,
limited.
understood. I'll wait till after the vote. I have one more comment.
Probably not gonna be a vote,
Yes.
you're just trying to get a consensus.
We're just
Okay,
getting consensus,
okay.
there's nothing to vote
Well,
on.
then I will wait till I can determine if there's consensus.
Okay.
Oh, I agree.
I can't imagine
I
anybody
agree.
disagrees with looking
We
into
all
this
agree,
mess.
so.
Okay, good. I would ask, Mayor, if you have any, I would ask that these two photos be made available to town records.
So they're on a flash drive, you may have the flash drive.
Very good, thank you.
just have an additional comment. I think for, when you have a storm event, whether it's a tropical storm or a hurricane, I think the most teeth in this to get everybody to pay attention is if the town manager and then whoever executes the code enforcement, which is usually the police and or the town staff, and the manager, is that usually within 48 hours of a storm event, you know, you're winding down the project. So you want to take a look at your timetable and say, okay, there's an event that's coming within the cone that's pretty serious. You call all the GCs and say, you have to shut down your job in the town within 48 hours. Now, if it bounces and it's 100 miles west of Freeport, you know, a day out, then you call everybody and say, okay, you can recommence work. And it's on an emergency basis. That would be sort of the window, and you would actually say, you know, stop work on an emergency basis. And so, you know, with the construction guidelines and the code enforcement. So, you know, construction firms, they have these meetings, you know, 5 days out. You know, my wife will conference in, and they're locking down job sites on bigger jobs much sooner, and it's actually staging the wind down and then the wind up. So it's pretty complicated, but on the residential side, I think that's probably, and then if they don't do what they're supposed to do and create a danger, then you can move on to your finding things. Well, if you didn't do it this time, you created a danger, maybe the town had to expend money to secure your site, and then you're, you know, doing that post-storm, or provided we don't have any damage and whatnot. So.
Understood?
I agree with your concern and logic but I was just wondering, as a matter of information, if maybe Attorney Randolph, what do the codes of Palm Beach or other municipalities that you serve, do they have this, issues like this in their
They
code?
do it more in the way that Tom has indicated. The Public Works Department gets in touch with every contractor in the town when there's a hurricane warning, and indicates to them that in the event this becomes a threat, that they have to break down, and they have to take roof tiles off or strap them, that they have to secure dumpsters, etc. So it's really done sort of the way the mayor's suggesting it, and when he's indicating at the town manager's discretion. In other towns, the building department or the public works department will contact the contractors and make sure everything is secured. So there's many ways of doing it. You can do it by code, you can do it as your part of your construction manual, you can do it as part of a requirement in the building permit, and indicate in your building permit that this is your responsibility in the event of a storm. So those are the kinds of things that you can look into to see how to do it most appropriately.
And that's what staff and Mr. Nazaro can look into. Probably would not be ordinance, but whether it's the manual the contractors must sign before they begin, or the permit. Probably doesn't matter too much, but whichever is best. And we can certainly follow some of the language of other municipalities. Just one other anecdotal bit of information that got me thinking about this. It was Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock. We were here, and Mr. Thrasher had just gotten off the phone with the county's emergency management group, who said they had not yet decided on whether there should be a voluntary evacuation of the town. And we had to decide, based on what we were seeing on television and all the news reports that were coming in, whether indeed that was actually reasonable, and whether we should advance, as Highland Beach had done, a voluntary evacuation notice. 3 hours later, at 6 o'clock, I had a call from Mr. Thrasher that the county had issued a mandatory evacuation. So we went from no evacuation to a mandatory evacuation in the space of 3 hours. And that's what drove the point home to me, that it's the people on the ground, it's the staff, the police, who have to assess the information that they're getting and make reasoned decisions to protect the residents of this town, not relying on county emergency squads. Anyway, any other comments? I think we have consensus given to staff to look into this further. Any other items by commissioners? Comments for the good of the order? If not, meeting's adjourned.